Welcome. Thank you for being here. We are so humbled and grateful for the response we've gotten since we've released our baby podcast out into the universe, and everyone's love and support has just meant so much. And we're truly overwhelmed with all the buzz that has been created by me sharing my story around my time in network marketing and the truths that I had to share around the darkness of it. And I was super afraid because it was so raw and honest of what kind of backlash I would get by releasing it. And I've been blown away because it has been so loving and so supportive and so validating to be accepted in my honesty. And so I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has reached out, to everyone who has been sharing it. It is a message that, has been landing in people's hearts, and the feedback we've gotten has proved that it was worth doing.
Yeah, it has been overwhelmingly positive feedback. A lot of people reaching out to you, congratulating you for speaking the truth.
And also for you to have been able to hold the space in order for me to do it, while also calling me to my own attention, because there are a lot of habits and diminishing ways that I've developed over the years inside this industry to kind of downplay my own culpability. So I just want to give you a shout out for calling me on my shit. And it was recognized by people that you did it in a really grounded and supportive way.
I hope so. I don't know about all that. I do know that
he doesn't take compliments too well.
I do know that I have seen through the process, not just with you, but with a lot of network marketers and people leaving network marketing, that the habit is to, admit some and really try and sugarcoat the rest. And I understand where that comes from. It's really hard to face your own shame. I think that's what it comes down to. The biggest part is the guilt and the shame that we feel when we have done wrong and we have made really poor choices in our life. And it has led to not only us having to face our own ruin in some ways, but face the fact that we might have contributed to a lot of negativity and a lot of negative things happening in someone else's lives. But it's okay to look at it. It's okay to admit it. It's okay to say and call it what it is. I did a really shitty thing and I don't want to do that anymore. But the best way for me to not do that anymore is just to look at it honestly and admit to the whole crappy thing that I did, not just parts of it. And network marketing as an industry and part of the brainwashing and the control is very good at training people's minds to avoid what they call negativity, which is really just critical thinking. And it's hard for people to reconcile between the two. Am I being logical and critical in a way that is best for myself, or am I just being a negative person? So I know you've experienced that through this process of really trying to watch what you say, even though you feel it, even though you feel things to be true, but not wanting to come off as negative or blaming or coming off as a victim. And I just feel like I hope anybody that's watching it that is looking at their own role in network marketing realizes that, you are a victim. You can be a victim while at the same time acknowledging the full truth of what you've done. And it is not just blaming to say that I was a victim or that I was under this brainwashing. It's understanding it so that you'll never be a victim again in this type of situation.
Well, I think it's too, just to go back, is when you are able to and get to the place where you can face the full truth of yourself. I think the hesitation there, that wanting to cling to the good, because that was me for a lot of the last couple months until I could just put all defenses of my psyche down and say, fuck, I was really shitty. And I made some really shitty choices. And that doesn't mean I'm a horrible, awful person, because I think there was a part of the admittance and getting to that place of just accepting all of it, that meant I was this horrible, awful person that could never be redeemed. And it's actually the opposite. It's when you can speak the worst of it and face it and just say, yeah, like I did that. There's circumstances and all the things that contributed to it. But at the end of the day, I did it and I don't want to be that anymore. And I'm choosing different. Well, that acknowledgement of, instead of just being in the good of it and acknowledging the bad of it, can let more of the good of it back in eventually.
Yeah, that is the redemption. It's not saying a partial truth, and it's not admitting to a piece of it and denying the rest of it in a way that is going to be a disservice to yourself and a disservice to anybody else that may see you as an example for themselves. It's facing all of it. Again, it's like you say, you want to bring all of the goodness back with you. And by acknowledging all of the darkness is the path to being able to do that. So as you go through your life, and if you're one that's not facing the truths of your actions or who you are, and these things are based out of the traumas as you experienced as a child and the traumas you experienced as a young adult, and all of the events that happened and the choices that you made that, played a part in forming who you are as you became a young adult and then into adulthood and went through your life. If you're burying the darkest parts and not looking at them or ever facing them, you're burying a lot of your own light with those darkest parts. So in those regards, you're only carrying forward with you a piece of your goodness, not the full scope and the full extent of your light and your goodness in that. And the more you bury, the more that light gets lost. And as you go through, and I think this is what you've experienced, and you talk about where one day you look up and you don't even know yourself and you have this totally different identity than who you were as a young woman and what your ideals and your values were back then when you were 17 and 18, writing poetry about materialism and consumerism and traveling around the world and trying to find yourself. And you looked up and you said, who am I? And it happened a lot for you, over the years. We've discussed this at length. There was so many flag posts for you to you could have had the chance to really have some realizations, and you didn't. You chose to instead excuse yourself in what you were doing and bury those. And every time you did that, you buried a little piece of your light as well. And by going back now and acknowledging the full extent, the full depth of the darkness of your time in this industry, as well as all of the other contributing factors in your life, because it's not all just the industry. And that's some of the feedback that we've had that was critical. Well, you can't just blame all of Sandy's problems on network marketing. Well, nobody's tried to do that. We understand that it's a culmination of your whole entire life and all the events in your life that have led you to where you are now. Network marketing played a huge role in that. By going back and facing the absolute truth of what it was, and the fraud and the darkness and the manipulation and the brainwashing that exists within network marketing and multi-level marketing, and facing your role in it from both sides, A, as a victim, and B, as a perpetrator, and understanding where that came from, how you got yourself into that position, and digging that back up and carrying it with you now into your new understanding as you move forward in your light, allows all of that light that you bury down with it to come with you. So, and people are commenting that you've known for a long time that, they're letting you know that this is the Sandy that I remember. This is the voice that I remember hearing. This is the bright light in the world that I remember shining, at full scope, Sandy out there being who she is. And they're commenting that it's starting to sound like you getting back to you.
Yeah, it's been really moving. I mean, there's no other word for it. And if you're one that might be listening and in that fear place of just speaking it out, because there's embarrassment, shame, guilt around it. Like maybe there's some people in your life that were ones that called you out. Now you have to say like, actually you were right. And you kind of have to, I don't know, I don't know, be bashful around
Eat crow.
eat crow, eat crud,
Yeah.
and also the fear of the backlash, of the harsh critics, or of the, maybe like you might even feel like there would be vitriol and hatred coming back at you by sharing that, and people's like facing the disappointment that some people have had and that they were duped by this. You know, that's not easy, but it's hard. It's actually harder to conceal that and be in your dishonesty and be in your lies and mistruths around it than it actually is to share the truth. Now, I can say that on the other side of it is just fucking giving voice to it and fucking saying the shit and saying, like, you know, the shame around the finances and everything. And actually me sharing, like, holy fuck, I had this facade like everything was good, and I didn't have a pot to piss in, and everything blew up and I have nothing. People are going, thank you. Thank you. I would look at your life and it would make me feel so much shame around my finances and the shit show that they're in. And now just to have you, like, share honestly helps me be able to share honestly where I'm at without shame.
Yeah. And the people that you were worried about the vitriol, like you say, for feeling duped by you and things like that, that's actually the exact opposite of the reaction you've gotten from many, many people, isn't it?
Yeah, like everybody's been so merciful and graceful, and it's given them voice to some of their intuition that they couldn't quite put a finger on. You know, some of the ones that might not have joined the second or third company and they couldn't really quite figure out why. And now they're like validated in honoring their intuition in it, because something that happens is there's some FOMO that happens, and you have that, you know, like that, the fragile, now I'll put community in air quotes, that you long to be a part of, like something called you to that. And so to see that community moving on, there's an impulse to want to follow. And was a very good number of people that chose not to and honored themselves, but still were hard on themselves for making that choice. And so it's been really cool that they are, you know, stepping out and saying, shit, well, this has been helpful and validating for me that I listened.
Yeah, you've heard a lot of feedback that people have said, and women have said, and people that you know have told you that they have felt the way that you were expressing your feeling about network marketing for quite a while, and were actually afraid to voice that within the community. And it actually led to them having a lot of feelings of mistrust in themselves, right? Because here I am sitting thinking something feels wrong, but I'm listening to Sandy, or I'm listening to the other people, I'm listening to the other women in this community that we've created, or they've created for us to be a part of. And I'm feeling like something doesn't line up and it's out of alignment. And they're all saying, wait, this is in alignment. Look at our lives. Look at this forward facing life we're all living, of wealth and personal growth and enlightenment. And we've figured out the secret. And a lot of the women are sitting there, and a lot of people are sitting there in their own situation saying, well, I don't feel like I've figured out the secret. This feels like it's causing me harm. Where's my secret? Well, how come I'm not getting all of this? And that's a really terrible place to be. And again, you're part of this community of enlightenment and personal growth and everything going on, and you don't even feel like you can speak your concerns for the fear of ostracization.
Ostracization?
I don't even think that's
a word.
The fear of being ostracized, and the fear of backlash, or being told you're wrong, or the shame of going so far and spending the money you did. And so to hear people's, recollection, or recounting their stories of, I felt this way for a long time. Thank you, Sandy, because it validates the fact that I wasn't crazy, that I was justified in feeling this, and I'm not alone. And them having a chance to really work on themselves within that context and heal themselves from any damage that was caused while they were involved.
Yeah. And it's also been this beautiful blossoming of some really deeper and honest friendships that have so much potential now because there's not the shade of all the dishonesty. And so that's been also a really cool thing. And what's been eye-opening is some people coming out of the woodworks that I hadn't heard from for a very long time saying, someone shared the episode with them and I binged the 3 and can't wait for 4. And then there's been people that I thought would have been supportive and in the corner being the complete opposite. And that's just also helped me learn and develop my own kind of compass for the trust by verify piece that I had. My compass was out of whack because I was in so much, dishonesty. Then I couldn't recognize dishonesty in others.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I see happening that I feel from you is you're starting to forgive yourself. And that's by being completely honest of your role and looking at your time in network marketing as a whole and the identity that you've formed and the way that you've lived your life over the last 15 years or whatever it is. And by forgiving yourself and being able to forgive yourself, you're opening up that two-way flow of forgiveness that can happen with others as well. So there's people that you do need forgiveness from naturally because of your role in this. And you can never have that until you fully forgive yourself, because you can't forgive yourself again until you're really willing to face the entire truth of everything. And this is what you're doing. And this is what everyone that's looking to get out of network marketing, it's very, very hard. But this is what you should be striving to do, is acknowledging the depth of the fraud that has taken place in the whole entire industry and what it's all about and your role in it. And through that, you can forgive yourself. And that's going to open up the doors for forgiveness with anybody in your life that needs it, needs to forgive you and that you need forgiveness from. And from there, you'll find that you can, enrich all your relationships that are really important to you, coming from a place of total honesty. That's the foundation of relationship, is truth, honesty, and trust. And you'll be able to have that, when you get to that place where you can look at yourself first and foremost, acknowledge anything that you need to, acknowledge your role to the full depth of it, and then forgive yourself first and foremost.
Yeah, it's like we've got video on for the first time. We're going to put this episode on video. So I'm fist pumping in the air because, this goes for everyone listening that's inside the industry or has been in the industry, but it also is like a manifesto for life. You want more intimacy and a greater amount of depth in your relationship. It's like, tell the truth, face it, face yourself, open up, be vulnerable, take that risk, because there is no risk to the truth. There is no risk to the truth. If you're listening, this was a concept that my whole body fought against in all of my fire of truth and all of my protecting my psyche from facing my own darkness, because my whole body told me that there is a great risk to it. And now on the other side and all the truths revealed, there is no risk to the truth.
Right. And there's a consequence, I guess you could say, to the truth. Sometimes we say there is no consequence, but there's no negative consequence to the truth. There can definitely be a positive one. The truth is so important. When you're not truthful with yourself and you're lying, that dishonesty becomes a part of your fabric. It becomes a part of who you are. And I made a comment to you a while ago that I felt that network marketing, multi-level marketing had created an army of pathological liars because, to keep up the deception, it's a constant lie. Like, it really is. And you're on all the time. You're on all the time. And we can pretend that it's not a constant lie, or it's just, telling part truths. Or listen, an omission is a lie. Telling a part of the truth is a lie. Small lies, white lies, they're lies. And the more you practice doing it, the more it becomes a part of you. And the more that you lie, the more you erode your own trust in yourself. And the more you erode your own trust, what Sandy was alluding to earlier, is it takes away your ability to discern in other people when they're lying or when they're being dishonest, and you don't know how to trust anybody. And I think that is the biggest takeaway that I've learned from observing Sandy and interacting with her through this is, I would ask her sometimes from a place of like, how did you believe that? Or how could you trust that person? Like the Justin Prince thing, she's telling me the story. I'm like, so you got on a call with this guy? This is what he told you? You guys flew to his, paid money to go to his house for an elite retreat, and this is all you got out of it? This was what it was about? There was this transit. How did you believe all this? And really it comes down to is, her radar detector for dishonesty and lying was broken. It was completely broken. And everyone around her in network marketing, theirs was completely broken. And the reason why is because they had lived in lie and dishonesty for so long. It had eroded the fabric of your soul, your being.
Caused soul injury. I love that term. You shared it with me today.
Yeah. And that totally, it's corrosive to your ability to recognize honesty in others and yourself. And that's where people like the Justin Princes and the Truman Hunts and the Justin Roses and the Rodney, I don't know, the long-haired guy, this is the place where people like them live and operate because, I think I said it in one of the last episodes, they're wolves, walking in fields packed full of sheep that have been brought to them for them to really take advantage of. And that's what the whole network marketing deception is all about. It's about separating people from their money and flowing it up to the top. And if you're not at the top, you're not benefiting. So it's really, I was really happy to hear that some people, quite a few people were reaching out and letting you know that your story and your honesty is giving them a chance to look at their own full honesty and making decisions that this is it, I've had enough and I'm on my way out.
Yeah, that's been the most powerful is for the people to have just been doing their own soul searching around it. I had one person just share that, like, I truly have believed in the dream so long and by not getting there, feeling something's wrong with me. And I just need to release that now. Like, I don't have to cling to that. I don't need that in order to be happy. And that's truly everything. Another really interesting piece is it seems that, and in some of these conversations that I've been having, it's like people with a strong masculine partner, oftentimes they were met with them kind of calling bullshit on the industry and them only going so far because their partner wasn't fully on board with it. And I just thought that was a really interesting piece that we've observed.
Well, I think you got some feedback from that came in right away and said it was nice to hear because their partner had always had objection and strong objection. And there was some that were able to really, because of their partner's objection and because they put themselves into their priority was their families and their marriage, and it wasn't network marketing. They had a better idea of where their priorities lay. They were able to work out, okay, well, their involvement stayed at a minimum level, mm-hmm. right? And so they were reaching out even to you to say that's great to hear this, and it really lets me know I made the right decision all the way back then to not become as involved as maybe I was tempted to. And that decision came about. I wouldn't say it's like, from a masculine presence saying what they can or cannot do, but at least because they were able to have those conversations of like, is this really what we want as a family? And be honest with each other is what that sounds like to me. And come to a spot where they were both, found a compromise for what the involvement would be. And I know you have lots of stories of the other way, where there was relationships, thrown into turmoil and peril through your time in network marketing because women were told, when partners objected to what they seen going on and different behaviors, they were told, you got to get that guy to come in line as well.
Yeah, and also they've got to see what you see. You've got to show them the dream, you know. Let them know why you're building it. Let them know how passionate you are and what your why is and all the kind of bullshit that goes along with it.
Yeah, instead of the focus of, you know, you need to work together, it was you need to make him see.
Yeah.
And how, you know, I'm sure that was a common thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just goes to show you that there's a lot more at stake than, you know, just maybe losing a few bucks when it comes to people's involvement in multi-level marketing. And there's an element of losing your priority. And you can speak to this. I know that your priority, what you learned, what your priorities were.
Well, in all of this, in all the fire of truth, in the facing the truth of myself, in the story of my life, was this recognition that, you know, I had been in survival mode for so long. And also, I had been chasing these riches and wealth and, you know, materialism, thinking that just when I get that, then I can, you know, be present for my kids more. Then I can find the partner that would want to be with me just for me because I won't have a mess of finances, and that will be admirable or admirable and desirable by a partner. But all I ever really wanted was true partnership. All I ever wanted was to be a mom and have my family and build my family since I was a little girl. And when my marriage ended and that blew up, what that picture was, what I desperately clung it to be, then I totally blew up my identity and got swept up into that whole lifestyle piece of the industry and the you know, big picture of the big dream that's possible.
Yeah, and you mentioned on the last episode, one of the things you wanted to travel with your children, and you know, you just wanted to make it to that spot where you could just travel with them, be present, have your partner. And your oldest daughter is 16 and she has plans. She wants to go to university, and there's a good chance she could be leaving out of the house within, you know, a little over a year from now.
Gosh.
And you still hadn't got there.
Yeah.
So you had been spending all of your time chasing and thinking, if I just get there, if I just keep doing more, if I
just got to do this next one so that I can get there, and then I'll be able to take a breath and get out of it.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
And, you know, the time for her to leave the house is almost upon, and it was still, you had never achieved that dream. When you started out having a family, you wanted to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
That's what you've told me.
Desperately.
You were happy to be with your children, and you didn't need a lot. And it's just, you know, it's crazy how much your dream changed. And for a lot of different factors that aren't related to multi-level marketing as well, you know, obviously the things that went on in your past marriage, but running into multi-level marketing at the end of that marriage certainly didn't help you as you move forward.
Yeah, no, it was like the perfect storm.
So one of the things is you asked for, I think on your Instagram,
We've got an Instagram now for Love's Legacy. If you haven't found us, we're small but mighty. It's called Love's Legacy Project is our Instagram handle. So if you want to give us a little follow, that's where we'll post new episodes and things.
Yeah. So you asked if anybody had any questions. You posted that you were going to do a follow-up episode, and you actually did get a couple interesting questions, good questions. So I know you wanted to address those. One of the questions was asking you about Liberated. So Liberated was your business. If anyone that hadn't heard, you had done Modere. Modere had fallen apart. You and your business partner, your best friend of 15 years, and the person that you work closely with in all of your network marketing endeavors, had started your own business. This is the first actual business that you guys...
Well, second, because we did a yoga for schools.
You did yoga for schools.
Years
ago. Okay. So sorry, you're second, but in this kind of space, I mean, you had started a company Liberated together, and you were working that. And after a while of just being liberated, no network marketing, correct?
Yep.
Is eventually you guys decided to get into Soul People as well. So the question came in, what happened with Liberated and what happened with all of that? And you felt that it was something you wanted to answer and address.
Yeah, it's like this reminder that all I can do is share my own truth around it. And it's the area that it makes me afraid the most, to be honest. Like when you ask the question, my heart starts racing a little bit. I was very careful in especially third episode or in the mini series, like just to be really careful to not go there, really, because I'm afraid. And it's important to share what happened there, because there's a piece of it that is a piece of awareness and recognition, and really can illustrate just how deep that network marketing manipulation piece can run.
Yeah, and I think it's important to share too, because it shows if people are thinking about getting out and they have fears around what they're going to face. I think the story that you have to tell around this is actually showing people exactly the worst of what they're going to face and what it is. But by you sharing it now and being honest about it, my hope is that it will also show people that are thinking to get out, like, this is the worst that you're going to face really from it. And you will survive and you will thrive going through with your decision to exit multi-level marketing, no matter how bad it seems when you're, making that decision.
Yeah. So the where to even start?
Well, why don't you start from, you had worked Liberated, which was digital marketing and course building, right? And you had made the decision, you and your partner together, to get into Soul People, correct?
Yeah. So with the focus of Liberated was a digital marketing piece and teaching people how to create their own brand with automation.
One of the questions was it a master resell rights?
It was not a master resell rights. It was our own thing. We had taken some courses and then made our own version of it. There was a course creator, self-guided course. We also had the podcast that we were doing. And then we had just put on a retreat before my whole spiritual awakening happened. Really, it was probably the start of things. I went into that retreat and working with some themes that I really needed to look at for myself. And I think that it was a piece of, the unfolding that happened. But actually, no, it was, we in the summer decided to join Soul People.
Yeah, so you're kind of jumping around a bit, right? Because you went to the retreat in October, and this is what happens.
And that's why he helps me get grounded in my telling of it, because I can, again, my heart's beating fast, and it makes me, I just have some fear sharing it.
Yeah, that's fine. In the summer of last year, I'll help you. In the summer of last year, you guys became aware of Soul People. We discussed that on the other.
Yeah.
And you were invited to go down to Utah, and you went down to Utah. You met. We discussed that in the episode, so anyone can hear that story in episode 3. And you guys came back and decided you were going to go ahead and work with Soul.
Yeah, and Soul then it kind of Liberated almost became a funnel for that. It became a funnel for that. Right. We'd put ads in our podcast around it, and that it was another way, and kind of stepping away more from the digital marketing, recognizing that the podcast and retreats could be and should be maybe more of the light up or the focus of Liberated, but Soul is going to be the main thing, really. Again, because you heard on the other episode, there was a big financial pressure in order for it to go, and had been working Liberated for that time, and it's still kind of struggling.
Yes. And Liberated became, it was consciously discussed as it would become more of really existing to help funnel people to Soul People, correct?
Yeah, like it will help grow the Soul People. It will help grow Soul People. And so when I was going through the initial part of my own fire of truth, which I've shared about on other episodes. I had this huge spiritual awakening and supported by you. And I went and faced a lot of things from my childhood, a lot of things from my whole life, really, of the falsehoods I'd been living in, dishonesty. I had some, traumas I had to face, some repressed memories that I had to acknowledge. And it was this really huge spiritual awakening. That's all I can call it.
Right. But how did you get there? Like, you got there because of Soul People, right? Like, it was Soul People was the catalyst for a lot of things starting to unravel around your dishonesty about what was going on in your life. Is that not correct?
Yeah. And just really feeling helpless and at a loss of, the situation I was in was not good, and not knowing or seeing a way out. And it came to a head, and then I had this awakening and really put so much of my life into perspective, recognizing that I needed to get out of network marketing.
Right.
Like, that was number one. Social media, I had to blow up my falsehoods that I had been portraying out in the world. And I really made the decision, and we made the decision together, like, what's most important to me, my priority is my family and my children and my partnership. And that was like really as crazy as that experience was, like, out of body, wild, facing, and the unraveling that it took, even, in the months that followed. But I felt more free than I had in a long time. And I felt like, released. And I was only just starting to face the darkness of my time in network marketing. But I had this, like, I don't know, fire in me, for lack of a better way to describe it, of where we could take Liberated, and what was, as I recognized my priorities weren't on fucking $1 million goals and
$100,000 months.
Yeah. And my where my values and priorities were, it was for me. I recognized, oh my gosh, we can help so many more women, because if everyone can face the truth of themselves, then that's the gateway to everything that you've ever wanted when it comes to abundance and all the things. And so I was super, like, I had gone through that, and I was super excited, and also still reeling from some of the realizations that I had and the things that I had to look at from myself. And that's where this part of the story comes in. So people have asked what happened with my best friend and I. While that was going on and I was going through my unraveling, she was away on holidays, and I had sent out word, she had reached out to me to do we had some stuff that we had to do for the business, for Liberated. And I had just said, I'm going through a spiritual awakening. I don't have the capacity to do anything, but I'm good, like, so good. And I'll talk to you when you get home. And
you had kind of stopped doing anything with Soul at that point as well, correct?
Yeah, I wasn't really doing it. She was aware that I was already in kind of wrestling with Soul to begin with before.
And you hadn't made an exact decision? Or
I didn't make a decision. I was still like, I could go back and forth. Yeah, I see the thing. Oh, but this doesn't feel good. And so very easily back and forth. So that's where it was. That was where it was at before she went away. This is where it was come the end. Had made a plan when she would come home to connect, and I'll tell her all the things. And she ended up coming here the day after she got home, and I shared my big epiphanies and my big awarenesses and my spiritual awakening, and the vision I had of where we could take Liberated. And
what else did you share as well? You shared that you were done with
I shared that I was done marketing. With, I had made the decision to leave Soul, and I will never do network marketing again. And also that I was part of the awakening was me recognizing and facing some of the darkness that I had recognized from that time. And it was met not as a friend. It was met as a business and bottom line. In that time when I shared that I was getting off social media, should take an issue with that because it would impact what would happen in Liberated. And I had really a vision of Liberated as to go back to the grassroots, like person to person, get back in the yoga room, like get back in building community without the need for network marketing, and let the teaching be the values and the priority. She didn't want to get on board with that. And also in that had accused me of not being in a good space, that she questioned my mental health and my safety within my partnership, and had me doubt, or tried to make me doubt that I was being manipulated, that this wasn't coming from me, all these realizations. The whole experience, I went into that experience wanting a friend, and I was met with something totally different. And any of the lip service in the few conversations we had after that of, well, if, because I was like, I just want a friend, and for you to be happy for me, all the work we've been doing, all these years in personal growth, like it's finally here. Like all the shit I've been working on, I finally see what I haven't been able to see all these years, and all the fucking work I've done. And it's like so exciting, and I'm so lit up, and life is just starting now. And instead it was like, well, the lip service of, I'm happy for you if that's actually true, but I still worry about your safety. Like I still worry and feel like you're being manipulated, and not listening to my experience whatsoever, or being validated in it. And I'm more me than I have ever been. And so that caused a huge fracture.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is you felt like as soon as you chose something other than the status quo, network marketing, what you guys were doing, you were met with, pushback. And how could you not like money? How could you not like all the things that we've always done? And it was, I call it for what it is. There was a lot of gaslighting. You've relayed these conversations to me, and a lot of gaslighting designed to have you question your own reality and what you were experiencing, going through, being real. And all because you had decided you wanted to leave network marketing, and it would put an illegitimate stain on anything that you guys have been doing for a long time.
Yeah. And it was someone that I was, or felt like I had been the closest to in all these years, and knew my journey and my pain. And all I wanted in that moment was a friend. And what I was met with was something totally different. And it kind of shook me awake. And it was even harder for me to face and believe that was what was happening. It was trying to give the benefit of the doubt, and until, finding that version of things, however the worry or the accusations spilled out into other people, like giving other people that impression of that was something that was happening for me, that I was kind of, being in this manipulative place.
Well, there was a part where she had actually drafted up a response on your behalf, right? For anybody that might have asked her about what was going on with you as it pertained to you leaving network marketing.
Well, I had asked for me to have the opportunity to share my story if people were asking what was going on with me. Like I had set a boundary not to share it, and to get them to direct their questions to me. And when we were still communicating, she had said, "Is this okay to say?" And it was a response of, like, Sandy's gone through this deep spiritual awakening, and she's facing some childhood trauma and it's all good, but she's just going to take some time and step back from things. And I had to say, yeah, at first I changed it and made it a little bit different. And then I stopped and said, actually, no, just if someone asks how I'm doing, just tell them to ask me. And that's really the case. I think for so many years, I've overshared so much shit. And what I've recognized in this is ain't nobody need to know nothing. And it's nobody's fucking business. And it's, and unless I decide to share it. And that is also part of the reason of being quiet over these last few months. And now, you know, I decide how I'm going to use my voice and why I'm going to use my voice. I'm not sharing all this to be rolling in the shit or, you know, share gossip. That's actually why I've been afraid to even share this part of the story and why I was very careful in the other episodes, because that is not my intention. My intention is to help fucking others, you know, like if you could never have told me that this is how it would end for that friendship, for that my time in the industry. And this is, you're right, like it is the worst of it to lose a best friend and business partner and to, you know, dissolve that business that will never be. But I'm deciding to share this part of it because that's my fucking truth.
Yeah, well, it's important for a few reasons. And one of those reasons is, as you said it, and what we said, it's people are scared when they want to leave and exit network marketing, and all of the fears are present. And this was one of your big fears. But, you know, you can honestly say there was a lot of things that happened in that relationship that you ate and never mentioned or never brought up or never addressed because of that same fear, correct?
Yeah, totally. Like again, in all of it, choosing friendship was more important to me than business. And what's been revealed to me in all of this and in that interaction was that the friendship wasn't at the forefront, and that was a really sad thing, and I had to grieve that because, and also it created a fire in me, like a bit of an anger. And I haven't had so much access to my anger. I'm a stuffer. It's all good, all meant to be, whatever. And now I've really been in this place of actually setting boundaries, standing up for myself. And like, that's the way it's going to be moving forward.
Yeah. And it's possible. I think that's the message here is you can face the thing that you're scared of the most. And I think one of the things you were scared of the most was how you would be viewed by your former associates or people that were remaining or didn't agree with you speaking out. How would it affect your relationships if you left network marketing? The worst fear is, will I lose my closest friends or the people closest to me? And you did.
And I did. And I have. And even there's ones that I thought that wouldn't happen even if they decided to stay in, and and I also felt a safeness and had, you know, opened up to one in particular that was going to be one that was safe to do that with. And I've since learned that's not, but I'm still glad because it's just me sharing my truth.
Right. For me, it shows me and it tells me, you know, when people talk about the manipulation of network marketing and the psychology and the emotional abuse that exists in multi-level marketing to keep the systems going and to keep the fraud alive, I feel like that story and your story shows a perfect example of exactly the reason why people are scared to exit. And it shows you know, specific examples of that emotional abuse and that manipulation. Like, I was present for all of that happening, and really I see and I recognize that, you know, multi-level marketing really causes people to question their own reality at all levels. And that is just a terrible place. It's a terrible experience to to have to go through.
And when you step outside, your mental wellness is called into question, or your safety.
Well, that's part of, trying to get you to doubt your own reality. Here you were so sure that, you know what, I have finally faced something that I have avoided for 20 years, 15 years since the end of my marriage and since before. Here's something, and you were excited. I have faced this darkness. I have faced my role in it. I am seeing parts of myself that I have kept hidden. I am seeing dishonest parts of myself, and I see a path forward. And all of those things that you were facing and seeing had led to things like you overspending until you were broke, poor physical health at times, poor relationship with men in some instances, feeling empty and lonely. Like, there is a list of negative
prices to pay
and consequences of your actions and everything that were born out of all of these falsehoods, not just network marketing, but from before, from your marriage, from your childhood. Again, all of the things, the culmination of all of the events in your life's experiences and where they had led them, and ultimately how you felt about yourself. And this is the number one thing, is that it all led to you feeling not worthy and not having a level of love for yourself that you could just feel confident to be who you were and live in your honesty and truth. And you were excited that you had finally gotten to a place of understanding about yourself, not that where you were healed, and that word like I'm healed now, or that I'm good to go moving forward, that you could just start rebuilding, taking out, rebuilding a new foundation of your life, a new foundation of your relationship, a new foundation of your relationship with your children. And you could take all of the, false bricks out of that foundation, start replacing them with real solid concrete supports and pillars, and work on that. And what you were met with by the person that was closest to you, all because you were leaving network marketing, was, questioning your own sanity around it.
Yeah. And that footnote to all of those realizations and those unfoldings was, and oh my God, I have met my partner that loves me despite it all, in spite of it all, and is my sacred union, is my partner. Like, that was the message of just like, wow, what an elixir for all the fear and dishonesty and withholding and lies, to actually have spoken things and be loved even more for it. And that was, at the heart of it. So to have that accusation against you was so insulting.
Yeah. And I mean, we never took it as it seriously at all, because it was so out there and ludicrous. And it just proved, it
shows the protections.
Yeah. It just proved what people in network marketing are willing to do. Just proves what people in network marketing are willing to do when it comes to protecting this identity for themselves and protecting the business and protecting the income that's really built off a house of lies. And
one thing too that was so interesting timing, when we were about to go record, we got a comment on our post, because I made a post of just like, if anyone has questions about episode, we're doing an episode 4, and this is the comment that came. We are grown-ass women. We know what we're signing up for. Your man's sure calling all the shots. He comes off as really pushy and arrogant, and honestly a little frightening. Blink twice if you need help, Sandy. Like, and I screenshotted it, thank God, because they removed it shortly after. But that just goes to show the level of, it actually like proves and is the perfect timing for us to record this episode. Like, it's so ludicrous, a comment like that, and it's meant to deflect and diminish. And all I've done in these last episodes is share my fucking truth around it. I've been graceful, not thrown anyone under the bus, because I've owned all my shit in it, and that's all it is.
Yeah, and how insulting to you. It's like, again, it's a theme that's come up with a few of the people in network marketing. Well, Sandy, I guess you just don't have the ability to speak for yourself and think for yourself. Well, Yeah, you know what? Sandy hasn't had the ability in a lot of ways to think for herself and speak for herself. That showed up for you in a lot of areas of your life, has it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who can we thank for that? Well, I can thank, first and foremost, I'd like to thank network marketing for taking away your voice or contributing to it. They're not the sole reason for it, but it sure doesn't help, and you lost your voice. You have a real issue with boundaries. You had real issues with self-esteem. You had a real issue with making decisions and feeling confident in your decision making and not deferring to something or somebody else or somebody else's expertise all the time. And this is your mission has been to gain that back for yourself, and you're well on your way, and you hear it in you every day since this has happened, and you hear the progression and you hear the power in your voice, and it's refreshing. It's what I want in a partner, and we've said that we've had those talks since the beginning when I would ask you and question, like, why do you just blindly agree with everything? Like you can tell me to F off if you want.
He actually said you don't have to be mousy.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I'm not mousy.
Yeah. You don't have to be like, tell me what you feel.
But I have been.
Push
and
back,
defer.
Exactly. I don't just want it my way all the time. That's boring. Let's, and I want to know you. I don't want to know some version that you think I want to know of you. I don't want to know what you think, other people want from Sandy. I just want to know you, and I want you to be yourself, and we're on the road, to you getting there, and we're on the road to me getting there, and we're doing it together. And there isn't anything anybody can say that will take that away from us or diminish that in any way.
Yeah, it's again, I can't imagine having walked this with anyone else but you, my love, and I'm grateful. I'm again grateful. Who knows? There might be some more episodes still coming because we have the people sending questions in, and it's a big loaded topic. It was such a wrapped up thing in my love's legacy, and I think that this is just the beginning. I hope that you guys will share this platform. It's a place where we are sharing truth and honesty and helping people find that deeper connection with themselves.
Yeah. Anybody that's has listening, and lots of feedback has come that they're listening and they finally won out of the MLM life or the network marketing life. Your fears are real. Mm-hmm. So I hope, I want to stress that what you're feeling, the fear that you have around leaving is real, and it will happen. And that's the thing. We can sit and deny that, well, maybe it won't, maybe it will. And that's what keeps people locked in the same place. It's just, know that it will happen. But guess what? The people that matter to you, they'll be there for you. The ones, real ones, the ones that really love you, and the ones that you'll find out who they are, and you'll find out who you really love, and they'll be there for you. And those relationships will deepen beyond what you could ever even imagine, because you'll be coming at them all from a place of honesty and purity and truth. And what you'll have in those relationships that has been missing for a long time in all your relationships is real trust and true trust. And it's a feeling that when you find that, and you find that trust in yourself, it really is a catalyst to, going out and doing the things in your life that you want to do, and being who you are, and finding all the abundance that you've been searching for in all of these other endeavors. You'll be able to find it in your relationships, first and foremost, with all of your loved ones, all of your friends. And from that place, and the confidence and the love that you'll find for yourself, and the love that you'll find for others and from others, will just help, keep propelling you forward as you do great things in line with exactly who you are, because you'll know who you are, and you'll be able to tell if it's in line with you and if it's not in alignment. And from there is really no limit to what you can do. And that's a much nicer place to be than under the restrictions and the limits that are imposed on you when you're in network marketing, which those ceilings are very real, and they're there for a reason. And, go out there and be free and explore the world with no limits placed on yourself.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for all of your love and support. And if you feel called to leave a review, that would be lovely. And again, I'm just proud of you all that are sharing it and feeling like you're having wake up moments for yourself. And love you guys. See you next week.
Bye.